Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. That's right. This is the SUNY Broome Republicans with your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier.
And Michael Woodward from the SUNY Broome Republicans.
And it's good to be back with you both. As you may have noticed, we split our prior episode because we have our two guests coming here with us. They will be with us shortly. And so we're going to have that part of the program pick right up when we introduce and bring on our two speakers. I think it's going to be a lively program and everyone will love that. So we thank you for listening in. We hope you find this part of the show interesting as well. And without further ado, we're going to segue over and bring you over to our two guest speakers for the SUNY Broome Republicans. We thank you, and we hope that you're going to have a great time. Hello, folks. Thank you for bearing with us there. We took a slight stop for a pause for a moment as one of our guest speakers were able to call in and caught us a little off guard in the middle of what we were speaking about how the government shutdown is affecting students and how that's going to be a trailing effect. So with that said, what we're going to do is we're going to bring on our guests and introduce them, and we'll pick up a conversation there, and we'll just adjust our breaks accordingly. We may have a second guest calling in as well, so I'm looking forward to this. With that being said, Mike, please do the introduction.
Yes, it's Carney Barnes, and you're the
I'm the Central Region Chair for the New York State College Republicans. Just covers the Central Region of New York. I'm in charge of around 7 different clubs in the Central Region, and college Republican clubs, college Republican chapters, and so some of them include like Ithaca, Cornell, Binghamton, now Broome County Community College, Syracuse, Oswego, and to name a few. But yeah, so I'm really glad. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Thank you for calling in.
Absolutely. Now, just to catch you up on some of the things that we were talking about in our first segment, 15, 18 minutes of the program, we've been talking about a public forum that happened at SUNY Broome on Thursday, where the local elected officials were actually there to listen to the public talk about some of the issues that are important as priorities from the community side standpoint. And then in this segment, we had just started speaking about the impact of the government shutdown and how that's going to affect students at SUNY Broome and the entire community and the entire nation, and how they may be seeing that. I'm sure you probably have comments on the second one on the shutdown, I'm sure, right?
Oh, well, I know the last time the government shut down was 2013.
Right.
So it doesn't happen often, but, because of the politics right now and how divisive the parties are, how divisive the House is, the Senate, it honestly doesn't surprise me that this is happening. There's just so much that Congress has to unify on, and we're just so divided. So even coming to a basic decision to not shut down the government is hard for us. So I'm really not sure how we're gonna progress from here. I think Trump, he wants to make it so, or Congress, they want to make it so that next month the government will be up and running. But right now, the government shut down. It hasn't happened since 2013. It doesn't surprise me, honestly, though.
Well, as I was going through some of the numbers and some of the information, and of the 12 shutdowns since 1981, this is the first one since 2013. We're looking at it costing about $1.5 billion or more per day. Already 800,000 government workers have been shut down. No new grants for students and universities will be allowed going forward. There is talk of a February 8th funding, but Democrats have doubled down and said that they want to punish the nation if they are not willing to make a reform on DACA, and which was not in jeopardy until March, I believe March 8th. So this is huge. Have you been hearing from the various institutions that you're familiar with and that you speak with about this yet?
About the government shutdown?
Right.
Well, I haven't really had any feedback from them yet because of, it just happened. Happened on Friday, so I mean, everyone's out from school, on the weekend. But in regards to like just things I've heard, through the grapevine,
Sure.
there it is. A lot of them feel like it is the Democrats' fault for letting this happen, because I know the Republicans are on board to let this go through, but I think the Democrats are mad about DACA, and if they don't get everything they want on DACA, they're just going to be really hard to deal with, and I think that's part of the reason why they let the government shut down, because they're mad at them not getting everything they want on DACA, and they're mad at Trump, and it's just the Democrats just aren't being as amicable with Republicans. So
I call it a temper tantrum. It's a political temper tantrum.
Yeah,
well, that's basically what it is. I mean,
it's a good one.
CBS News reported that the Democrats actually had nothing or no issues with the bill itself or any bills that were on there except for DACA,
Which wasn't on there, and it shouldn't be.
Exactly.
It's amazing to me. Let me ask you, Carney, what do you think how the students that you're in touch with, how's it going to affect them? Do you have any idea? Has anyone mentioned to you what they expect to see happening?
Nothing dire has been mentioned. I'm not sure if it will affect them directly as much. Maybe it could affect I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it'll affect like student loans, or
Yes.
federal aid that they get
Eventually.
Yeah.
eventually. But I mean, as of right now, like a lot of them are just focusing on finishing the semester strong.
It's going to be interesting. One of the things that I would suggest is start telling people to be very careful and pay attention to any of the students who may be on food stamps or receive government aid, because that will be scaling down and eventually shutting down the longer that this goes forward. So if they are receiving government aid for food or housing, that the longer this progresses, usually about day 4, day 5, they're going to start seeing that shut off.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it directly affects, and that's one of the things we wanted to address here. It's going to directly affect students. It's not just this thing that happens. It's their money is going to be shut off. And so even though the student, you may still be able to get if you had a grant that was previously approved, that grant's going to go through. But if you had a grant that was pending for this semester starting, that's now frozen. You won't have that money.
And I know a lot of students are like waiting on pending financial aid or loans to come in, especially since it's the start of the semester too.
Some students actually depend on that too.
It's frozen.
Wow.
It's frozen. So if they were looking for the student loans, if they were pending a student loan going forward. So again, that's the big difference there. If you had it approved already, that's money the government already spent. You've got it. But in a shutdown, if it was not approved, it's frozen, because 800,000 not essential government employees instantly stopped working as of midnight. And that number will increase to the total 23 million employees as it continues to move forward. And in terms of aid, anything that has not already been promised by the government will not be promised by the government until the government starts back up. And then you have the other factors, like I mentioned, food, housing, any other aid you may be receiving, that all gets affected.
Wow.
So the question is, how many students are going to be starting this semester where they're going to depend on that money to live on, food, whatever the case is, living in the dorms, especially if they're from out of town? How many of them are not going to be able to start the semester?
Yeah, some of them won't even be able to pay rent.
Exactly.
Like I know some students, they rely on the refunds that they get from the government to live off campus and, you know, to pay their landlords. If they don't have that, they're gonna have to, you know, live with a friend or maybe just take the semester off. That's really big. It's a really big impact.
IRS refunds. A lot of students count on that as well. Guess what? You're not getting that either. IRS is shut down.
No IRS refunds either?
IRS shuts down. No refunds. The government can't give you a refund. There is no government money, and there are no workers. That's delayed again until it starts back up. So the longer it goes, all that money is frozen.
I know, for example, NASA's running on a very skeleton crew right now. So let's hope nothing bad happens.
Well, it's all of the government agencies, and people.
Well,
don't...
I know I think the mail services are still
continues.
Still going on.
Yeah, that continues because that's not federally funded.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I will tell you that I'm Coast Guard Auxiliary, and they had an event called N-Train. It was supposed to be a weekend training system for different units, and that's being shut down and canceled.
Wow.
Right now, it's just essential pieces are still running for Homeland.
So let me ask you this, Carsey. And I know it's unexpected that this isn't what we were planning to speak about, but since it is so huge and it has such a big impact that most people have not considered the way it impacts them and all the different levels it affects. So that's why we're focusing on this. So I know maybe a little thrown, but let me ask you, for the students and the organizations that you're familiar with, how do you think they're going to react? Well, let me ask two parts of that, actually. One, how many people do you think realize the impact that we're just talking about, all the different ways that it affects students, and what do you think their reaction is going to be?
I mean, I doubt that many people know about like how their pending financial aid. I doubt people know like what the government shutdown, you know, means unless. But I do know like a lot of the college Republicans. They're really, some of them are really informed. A lot of them are really informed actually, because to become a Republican, they have to do a lot of research instead of like listening to what the media feeds them. So they actually have to look into certain issues. So I mean, a lot of them know about what goes into government and what happens when government shuts down. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, a lot of people know, but at the same time, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of questions about the government shutdown, and the media no one's been focusing on what it does to students. I mean, honestly, you brought some things to light for me, like just now. I didn't know a lot about that, but so I mean, this is certainly stuff we need to get out to the college Republicans, and just to people in the central region. I think it's very important that they know what the government shutdown means for them and, you know, their pockets, their education, and, you know, how just a bunch of, you know, angry Democrats in Washington could affect their lives.
Yeah. It's an impact most people don't think of.
Well, I think one issue is, and you being a fellow college student as well, you have that liberal cannon that sits out in front of all the classrooms that's speaking to us for an hour at a clip, basically from a professor.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, what I want to do, we're a little over on our time. Usually we go about 15 minutes or so per segment. What, if you can, Carsey, I want you to hold on. We're just going to take a short break. We're going to come right back, and then let's actually talk about your experience. Let's go on beyond just the government, but also talk about your experience with the college Republicans and what you see in the future separate of the government's shutdown. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
All right.
Sounds good.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us back at the SUNY Broome Republicans. This is your host, Michael Voss, and
Michael Woodward of SUNY Broome Republicans.
That's right. And we're back with you today, and we're having an exciting show, a little challenging for the technology, so please bear with us on that, because we now have two guests with us, and they're both online on phone, and so I think you'll be able to hear them well. But I think it's going to be really exciting for everyone to hear what they have to say. And to introduce them, please, Mike.
Yes, we have Paul Cuesta of the New York State Federation of College Republicans. I believe he's the president. And we have Carney Barnes, which is the area chair for the Federation as well.
Say hi, guys.
Yeah, hello. Glad to be here.
Okay. Was that Paul or was that Carney?
That was both.
Yeah, it was both of us.
All right. So we'll probably try and pick one or the other as we go. Now, I know, Paul, you missed, we were, in the last segment, we were talking a little bit about the impact of how the government shutdown is going to affect students. Not the direct impact of funding, but the extra things like being able to get back the IRS tax refunds, anyone who's getting food aid, food stamps, anyone who's getting government assistance in paying for their rent, and all these other programs that are now going to be shut down on their 7 days. But before, so that gives you a little bit of where we were. But going forward, I want to take a moment and let's start with Carney first, and then we'll go to you, Paul. Let me ask you, what's it like to be a Republican in a day and age where everyone on a college campus is progressive?
Oh, well, it takes this amount of, I'd say, like, bravery a little bit, especially on these liberal college campuses. A lot of them, there's not a lot of free thought. They say they say they're welcoming the professors, preaching a certain doctrine of liberalism for the most of the time. It's very hard to find Republican professors, except maybe in your economics class. But other than that, it's very hard. Me,
You're breaking up. You're breaking up on us, Carney. You're breaking up. There you are. There you are.
At M10, I attended the College Republicans Club at there, and I see it as like a safe space, or a safe spot for all of us to really express, how we feel as college Republicans, how we feel on the campuses, and it's just a place. The club is just a place to vent and get out all your frustrations. Just be able to talk with like-minded people about the country that you love. So that's why having college Republican clubs is so important, because a lot of times there are not that many places on campuses that offer us a place to really vent our issues. And a lot of times, I know a lot of people are afraid to speak up. Especially like Republicans, they might be afraid to speak up in certain situations in class. If a topic is brought up, say on illegal immigration, they might be afraid to speak up, or else everyone will come running after them with pitchforks. So I mean, it's a very interesting situation that we're in. But what I've noticed, going through, me and Paul, we went on a tour like of New York like last year. Just the different clubs in New York, and we saw a lot of the clubs that I talked to, their membership increased by at least maybe 10 to 15 people since the election year. And I think that has a lot to do with Trump and just conservatives feeling very isolated on campus and wanting to be able to vent their frustrations to a group of like-minded people. And because of how divided the country is more so than ever, they need some place to really talk. And so that's why I think having college Republican, the Federation of College Republicans is so important. And because it is hard, we recognize it is hard to be a voice on a college campus. But we're here to help with that and support it, and we just want to make it easier. Because we don't want the colleges here ending up like Berkeley or something.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, let me ask, what are your experience?
My opinion? Well, my opinion is this way I tell a lot of, when we visit chapters and I speak with my fellow college Republicans, I tell them that this is an opportunity for them to truly redefine what it means to be a college Republican. For them to talk to students and show them that we're not what you see at a 9 p.m. segment on MSNBC. We're humans. We just seem to affiliate ourselves with different principles. I personally have encountered a lot of students that I feel as if that they resonate with conservative values. It's just about us as a party being able to show them that we have space for them under our tent. What we've been doing right now with the college Republicans is, one, making sure that we streamline a lot of resources at the Federation. Like if you visit our website at newyorkfcr.org, you can find a wealth of experience, a wealth of resources from being able to find your representative, being able to tap into internships at the RNC, the state party. We also have connections with the State Senate Majority Conference, who could give out people resources to get guest speakers, or even tour the state Senate chambers, even voter registration. Even to go farther, we even have partnerships with Habitat for Humanity of New York State for community gardening, the American Heart Association to get CPR first aid certified, and even we even have partnerships with Volunteer New York. So we just basically try and tell people that, yes, we're Republicans, but we're also humans. We're also future leaders of America. And we use that platform of tackling the discovery of shared common values to establish an arena for political discussions. So people don't focus on our minor differences on college campuses, but we focus on our shared values. And then through those shared values, we look upon our differences. One thing that I'm very much proud of is, I guess what Carney said before, how diverse our college campuses are. To piggyback on what Carney was saying, last semester we went on a tour. We went to Albany, and we joined State Chairman Ed Cox in his reorganization meeting of the state party, where he was elected for his 5th term. And then we went out to Houghton College, which is in Allegheny County, and saw an event which featured Congressman Bob English talk about conservative solutions for environmental and energy reform, which is very interesting. And then after that, we went to Syracuse, New York, where we joined him again, and he was there speaking to the Syracuse University College Republicans, and then we went to Binghamton University. I feel as if we kind of missed your chapter, but I guess you're in the process of creating it.
Yes.
But all of those chapters that we saw, they definitely all spoke about how the focus that they have on their college campuses and where their membership in meetings has increased, not only because people want to become Republicans, but because they feel as if that they want to connect themselves to students to make themselves feel comfortable, to make themselves feel like they're not alone on college campuses, and that there are groups and people out there that they could align with politically to be able to discuss about current events or even discuss about issues in local government. Also, to go above and beyond that, your students that would like to attend your college Republican meetings just to hear a Republican perspective on something that's happening in the media. You could have Democrats attend your meetings just to say, hey, I want to know what the Republicans think about this. Let me go to their meeting and raise my hand before I grab a free slice of pizza or something. So it's definitely, I would say this is definitely hands down the most exciting time to be a college Republican because of especially in the state of New York, being that we're the home state of President Trump, and also with the divisiveness that's present on college campuses throughout the whole entire state of New York and America in general.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. I totally agree. As far as what's going on college campuses, I mean, for example, and you mentioned how students feel about speaking out. I can recall 2 or 3 different times in a writing class where the professor was talking about the Republican Party, and it had nothing to do with the lesson plan at all. And she was talking about the hatefulness, and one of our one of the students mentioned Dr. Ben Carson, and then she just shut the whole thing down and just kept going with the lesson. And that's what they seem to do all the time. And they ridicule people that actually mention anything about it. It's sad and it's crazy. And right now, as far as the Democrats on campus, I think that all they're doing is just watching us to see what they're doing. They're not, they won't talk to us at all. It's crazy.
One thing that I've noticed, and maybe you guys could attest to this on your experiences on City Bloom campus, is that I feel like our generation of college students have lost the professional art of being able to disagree with somebody.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
If you disagree with someone, they're going to start labeling you with names like racist, bigots. Like Carney Burns and I are both Black Republicans, so we get the Coon and Uncle Tom. We heard the worst of the worst. You know, it's
have no idea.
It's truly unfortunate that we carry ourselves this way, especially considering college campus is supposed to be the place where you prepare yourself to compete within the marketplace of ideas, where you're going to have to work with people that you don't agree with. You're going to have to talk with people that you do not have shared common values with, but still be able to find solutions that work out best for you and your coworker. You're not going to like everyone. You're not going to like the person that's in the cubicle next to you at your workplace, but college is where you prepare yourself to be able to be part of a team with that person.
Well, let me.
That's true. Yeah, and another thing, just to add on, I know in college Republican clubs that are involved, you have to be in the student government, and you get allocated a certain amount of funds, every year, and a lot of times the student government is run, by liberal leaning, Democrats. And people or just people who don't really support Republicans or Republican values. And literally at Binghamton, this happened. They will allocate less money to the college Republican club, and give more money to other clubs. It not only affects how they're seen, but it also affects the funding the student government gets. And the Federation, New York Federation of College Republicans, we try to help the clubs as much as we can, but at the end of the day, it's up to the school to support the students, and it doesn't matter what club it is. They're still a club, and they still deserve the same amount of funding as any other club, and there shouldn't be any favoritism. So that's another. There's a huge bias in the student government.
Well, technically, they should be that whatever the Democratic club should be the equal amount given to the Republican club. All right, folks, we're taking a quick little break. We'll be right back in just a moment with more of our interview at the SUNY Broome Republicans.
That's how it should be, but it's usually not the case.
No, and that's really sad because obviously there's a bias out there. And speaking of bias, I didn't realize, I didn't know, and quite honestly, it's not important. It shouldn't be important that you're both people of color like myself. This is Michael Voss speaking. And I have to ask, because I've been doing political commentary now for about 15 years. I'm a bit older than everybody else in the conversation. So I have a slightly different point of view, but I know what it is to be called names. And trust me, I know how bad they get. And and I know that people who don't share our value system love to throw out the words racist or Uncle Tom, or whatever ism may be popular at the time. And I want to ask you guys, do you see, I've always felt that whenever I start to speak and I'm speaking about our Republican values and how they impact our lives, that as soon as I hear them come back with, well, that's just because you're a racist or just because you're a sexist or you just don't understand, I always feel that, well, that's because, one, they don't have an argument to defeat the facts that I'm putting out there, as well as they're just looking to shut down the conversation because we're not supposed to be able to respond to that. It's supposed to be, well, you're racist. Oh, well, that stops everything. Do you agree?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. A lot of them try to derail the conversation from any substantive, exchange, and they try to turn it into an emotional exchange, and it usually ends up either becoming confrontational, or both parties just end up being pissed at each other. I have friends that just that I want to keep my friends, so we just refuse to talk politics. So and that's kind of a unwritten rule, but I mean in regards to the the racial aspect of it, it's just it shouldn't be, there shouldn't be any emotional response. You just be like facts. That's how things should be communicated, and a lot of people get caught up in that, and it really stifles communication.
I agree, and I find it interesting though, because I've heard from a lot of people over the years that, well, I'm not involved in politics and politics is not part of my life. Or people say, well, I don't talk about politics with my friends. But yet politics is talking to us. I don't know if you've heard feedback from the various colleges or institutions that you guys are working with about things like, we have the politics, the social justice messages in, say, Star Wars. We're hearing the political far left progressive messages coming from Oprah Winfrey. We're hearing it from the professors on the college campuses. This is everyday life. This is our entertainers out there are involved in the politics. I think there's a woman who used to be on the TV show Sex and the City is going to be running for mayor. So entertainment and our lives are being injected with politics, but people are trying to say they're not affecting it. And I always have to tell them, wait a minute, but politics is coming to you. I don't even have to say a word.
I completely agree. Completely agree. So, what I've noticed, and I guess I've kind of realized this since because even since high school, I've always been someone that's been willing to make a sacrifice. Oh, this is Paul speaking.
Paul, okay.
Ever since high school, I've been someone that's always been willing to make the sacrifices in my personal life to be privy to information that most people my age don't care about. When I talk to college students or young Americans in general, they can't name who their mayor is. They can't name who their congressman is. They can't name their state senator, their state assemblywoman. They can't name their city councilman. They can't name the lieutenant governor for New York. And these are the things that are way more important than how many points LeBron James scored last night or how the New England Patriots are doing in the playoffs. We have to make sure that we prioritize the things in life or the information in life that's truly important, that impacts you. Plato once said, if you refuse to participate in politics, you wind up being governed by your inferiors. And that's something that a lot of college students need to embrace. They need to get this information Otherwise, they're going to walk into an America after college where they don't know what the hell is going on. And it's really, really important that that everyone, especially college Republicans, I tell people to kind of carry themselves as a political resource for education. To not tell people what they're supposed to be thinking, but to show them through example the way they're supposed to carry themselves as critical thinkers within our political process. To tell people that the time we waste arguing about national policy and President Trump is something that is time that we could be spending advising a policy for the SUNY Broome County Board of Legislators, or working with someone like Giovanni Scaringi with the Binghamton City Council. You know, people need to realize where they truly are effective, and to truly be effective in politics is by embracing the root definition of politics, which is all politics is local politics.
Totally agree.
People need to reevaluate and embrace the stewardship and participating citizenship that comes with being an American, and use that to become community leaders, as opposed to jumping behind a keyboard on Twitter and Facebook and I guess putting on a facade that you're a senior political analyst.
Well, true. I agree with that. Although we are on the internet, so there's a little bit of that. But I think if it's being used as a means to express ideas and share ideas and try to come to a common agreement, that it's a wonderful tool. When it's used to tell people you can only say this and anything else is rejected, that's horrible. It's the worst aspect of it. And if anything, it's totalitarian, in effect, because you're shutting down thought. And I always like to remind, when I do some speaking engagements, I always love to remind, especially the younger people that I speak to, that there are no safe spaces in the world. When you get out of college and you get into the real world, and I think a lot, you guys tell me, you're all students, tell me if I'm wrong here, but when students get out into the real world, they're suddenly hit with this reality that there are no safe spaces, that people aren't PC, that all the things that are going to affect your life have nothing to do with the progressive agenda or social justice. It's now you have to interact with people who don't agree with you, and you need to know how to do that.
They don't have that, sadly. Myself, personally, I'm a non-traditional student. I'm 44 years old, so I've already worked a full career as a truck driver as well. And these students are going to learn birth by fire, that exactly what Mike just said.
I think that's a reality. You know, a lot of college, people in college have to realize that not everyone's going to always agree with you. And, discourse is good. Discourse in college is good because it not only prepares you for the real world, but it also allows you to open up your mind and, look at different points of view and, formulate a better opinion of your views as well. And, running away from that, being cowardly and not, having a decent exchange with someone is not good. So I definitely agree with that.
Well, especially once these students get out into the real world and they start moving up the tax brackets, that's when it starts to really hit them.
One of the aspects. Yeah. Let me ask you guys this: looking forward, it sounds like you've been getting a good reception at all of the universities that you're going to, and it sounds like there's a growth of a conservative movement at college campuses. Do you see that as something that's continuing to grow? Is that something that, do you have events or programs that are coming up in the near term, even that people say who are listening to this at SUNY Broome or anywhere over the internet that they may be able to be involved with or to check out?
Paul, you want that one? Or?
Yeah. Sorry, I was. Wait, can you go, Carney?
Okay. Well, I know we have we've been involved in a lot of different initiatives over the past semester. We had a Central Region conference where we had colleges from all across the Central Regions, from Syracuse, Oswego, Ithaca, Cornell. They all came, visited, and we had two congressmen. We had Congresswoman Claudia Tenney and Congressman John. And they came and got to speak to college Republicans, and the thing is, a lot of elected officials are looking for help from us, from young college Republicans. They want us to knock on doors, volunteer for their campaigns, because they need us, especially in 2018 as well. You have a couple of congressional races, and races in different spheres, but they definitely need. It's college Republicans' job. We're going to be we're the muscle for the campaigns. We're the ones who have to get out, knock on doors, and be involved. Get the word out to relatives, students, and do phone calls. So it's really important for us to get involved, especially this
midterm elections
this year.
Yeah, the midterm elections.
Midterm elections.
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Besides Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, who I personally know,
So do I, yeah.
Can you tell me who was the other member?
John Katko.
Katko. Okay. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I know John.
John Katko.
Yeah. I know almost everybody in the central New York area.
And just in case, if you guys didn't know, Giovanni is also the SUNY Burn Republicans advisor.
Oh man, you guys have a good. Giovanni is someone I hold in very, very high regard. I'm an active member of the New York State Young Republicans as well, and Giovanni was one of the people that helped welcome me in to know the ropes, know the things that really matter, learning how to petition, how to be an overall resource to the elected officials. People need you out there. Elected officials for the Republican Party, they need you out there petitioning for that independence party line. They need you out there to help them. There's only so much you can do from behind a keyboard, but you actually got to go out there, hit the pavement, and do some lit drops once in a while.
At the end of the day, you have to be in person. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Been out there many, many times, even when I ran for Congress. You got to be in person. And I should mention, since we have brought it up before, Dr. Scaringi is also a member of the Binghamton City Council. So he is an elected official as well. So we should disclose that.
He would visit. He would visit Binghamton, our meetings a lot sometimes too. He'd make some guest appearances at the Binghamton club meetings. Mm-hmm. So he's definitely doing really good at his job.
Well, he's out there. He's part of the community.
He's really out there,
and that's a great thing.
Yep.
All right, folks, we're taking a quick little break. We'll be right back in just a moment with more of our interview at the SUNY Broome Republicans. looking at 2018, obviously it's a midterm elections. I've been in contact with several people down in Washington, D.C. And tell me what your thought is at all the various campuses, and Mike, your thoughts as well. I've been hearing that the Democrats from D.C. are saying this is their year, that they expect to sweep across the nation because everyone is rallying to their side. And my counter is, and my thought is, that doesn't sound like what I'm hearing from rank and file people. They may be hearing that from the political elites like Nancy Pelosi and and Chuck Schumer. But what I'm hearing on the ground in the community is people are happy. Their stock market's up, the 401ks are up, jobs are coming into the country, the economy is improved. Internationally, we're in a stronger position. North Korea's out there and they're finally having talks. ISIS has become relatively quiet, almost non-existent. We're looking at a much better outlook in our nation overall. And when I speak to people, most of them are saying, well, Trump and the Republican Party are doing well and things are better off than they were 2 years ago. And I imagine that's going to play out well in the 2018 midterms. Are you guys hearing the same thing I'm hearing?
In the Republican Party.
You broke up in the beginning of what you were saying.
Oh no! I said there's definitely a degree of optimism in the Republican Party that we could definitely win this. This could be our year. Although usually the midterms go to the opposite party, whoever won the presidency. So historically it should go to the Democrat. But last year
you broke up.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, no. Last year, 2017 was a really bad election year for Republicans. I know in our home county in Westchester, we lost basically like Paul could tell you, we lost almost all of our positions. We lost the county. We lost Astorino, and a lot of it was being said because of Trump. It was like the Trump wave. The blue wave, they said, but I definitely saw. I think it was a lot of people were upset with the perception of Trump in the media definitely played out in politics last year and at the voting booths. If that happens again, this year it might be the same result, but. So I'm saying a lot of what's happening is riding on not only the Republicans and how we change and conduct ourselves during this election, but also on the president and how he conducts himself and his and how he improves and his track list, his list of things that he needs to get done. And I think so far, ever since after November 8th in 2017, after the elections. I think he passed tax reform, and the economy hit the stock market hit 25,000. So no, it's 26. Yeah. So Trump has to just keep a lot of it, because it seems like a lot of the bad mouthing is coming in the Republican Party. Whenever I talk about someone, they're like, yeah, I have nothing wrong with you being Republican, but you support Trump. It's all about. So it seems like it's a lot about that. So a lot of it's hinging on how Donald Trump operates during this.
I think that if he can just stop tweeting, we'll be a lot better off. But it sounds like, and this is a rally call for all the Republicans that are listening to this, and say, you know what? Let's talk to people, get out there, and let them know what's the reality. Because people, everyone I talk to, they seem to miss it. It's like, wait a minute, you do realize that unemployment rate has gone down, that wages are going up. Businesses, the self-employed rate, which is right off of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, shows it directly. After 8 years of a decline of self-employed, people are able to open up businesses now, and that's been on an increase. The economy in our lives and our safety, I mean, the number of attacks by ISIS is down. You know, all these factors are improved, and the only thing we keep hearing about is, well, Donald Trump made a tweet. That's not what this election should be about. Who cares if I'm not in love with his tweets, but more importantly, that's not what's running our government. That whether or not he tweets didn't make more jobs come in, raise up the standard of living and the quality of living, and make our nation safer. They're not the same thing.
Yeah, well, the thing is, in Broome County, for example, this last election, we won 10 out of 11 of the elections. So obviously in Broome County, it's very conservative. And that's what I've heard from... It's not. Well...
We're very liberal.
If you look at the numbers, evidently the people showing out to the polls, I guess, is a little bit different. But personally, I think the current administration in Broome County is doing a fabulous job as far as Rich David goes.
Yeah, but it's all about getting the word out there. I think that's the important thing.
Yeah.
And I think
that's the most effective thing.
Absolutely. And
getting the word out.
I think like programs like this is one of those ways we can do that. And hopefully we can get this out to a lot of people to hear all of these things we're talking about.
We've actually been training students. Our federation has a partnership with Leadership Institute, an organization created by Morton Blackwell to help make young Republicans become stronger field operatives for campaigns. They could get trained to become youth directors, youth coordinators, and so they could become overall stronger assets through retention of elected officials in office, and also to pick up additional seats on all levels of government. We also have, I have a very close relationship. I don't know if you guys are aware of Pierre Benjamin, who serves as the director of grassroots outreach for the New York State Republican Party. I've been helping him coordinate Republican Leadership Initiative trainings. So there are lots of resources out there that we can tap into to make sure that we are able to continue the winning mentality. Well, the situation that occurred to us in Westchester County is that we had a sense of complacency as an overall county. We felt like we had a great candidate who did good. He held the property taxes line flat for 8 years. He was also pushing a lot of Go Green initiatives. So he was what I guess you could say one of the all-star Republicans who was able to transcend party lines and also work with across the aisle. But when it came to his campaign, a lot of people didn't go out there to vote because they thought he was going to win, and also a lot of people didn't take the campaign serious enough. You know, when you won, that is when you have to really show the class of professionalism. It's, you know, like they say, when you're on top, you got to make sure you keep doing what you need to do to make sure you're on top. And this is why I'm really proud of also you guys. If we're having a youth leadership school in Rochester, New York, February 3rd. If any of you are interested. It's being hosted by Morton Blackwell, who was the National Youth Director for President Trump's campaign in 2016. And this is back to what I was going to say before. I'm very proud of David Blair because he came off serving as the National Youth Director for a legendary campaign, legendary. When President Trump first launched his campaign, people were laughing at him. Yeah. You know, and now here he is sitting as the 45th President of the United States, as the presiding officer of an economy with a record low unemployment rate for the Black community. He passed tax reform. He did things that I would say President Obama wished he would have done.
Oh, guaranteed.
And here David Blair is, instead of resting on his laurels and, you know, jumping on cruises and relaxing and partying and hitting the club, he's traveling all throughout the state of New York, hosting youth leadership school trainings to help empower young Republicans to keep up the winning mindset. You know, his quote is that we owe it to our philosophy to learn how to win, because we definitely have to make sure that we empower people to become individual thinkers within our political process. Otherwise, the left is gonna come upon them and make them complacent, make them dependent on government programs.
That's what they do. They like their zombie voters and their zombie programs. And that's
the dead voters. Yeah, the dead voters are the illegal voters. That's why they They shut down the government for DACA. It's really unfortunate.
Oh, you should hear the first part of our conversation and what I have my own personal podcast, which is No Soundbites Allowed. And I suggest look it up you'll see it in Google. You'll see my comment from 1 a.m. this morning talking about that. Made me livid.
Is there a place where the stream is happening that we could share this on our like page or no?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to, and this is for everybody who's listening, you can share this by going to the No Soundbites Allowed podcast. And we have two programs that go on there. The No Soundbites Allowed program, and then there is the SUNY Broom Republicans. We're going to get them their own site in a short time. But for now, episodes of both show up and you'll be able to see it. It's identified, marked off. It's available on iTunes as well. And so you can look it up. You should also be able to find it in search engines under SUNY Broom Republicans, and that'll bring you to SUNY Broom Republicans podcast, and that'll bring it to us as well.
I also posted on Facebook, on the SUNY Broom Republicans Facebook weekly as well.
Okay.
Okay, we'll definitely follow that then.
Definitely. We'll make sure we get a link out to you guys once this is published as well. So one of the great messages I think we're saying overall, it sounds like, is you're not alone. If you're a college student, a young person, anyone in America, and you happen to be conservative or Republican, you have strong values, you're not alone, no matter what the media is saying. We win elections. We run the government effectively, and we can do it again. We just need to make sure we're out there, we're working together, and we push forward. And is that right?
I agree.
Yep.
And then also,
Definitely.
any school that wants to call in that's concerned or they want to have comments or whatever, they're always welcome to.
On the program.
On the program, yes.
Awesome.
So let me put this out to you as our guests, and we obviously look forward to having you guys come back in, and I'll work the technology to improve it a little bit, so I apologize for that part again. But let me ask you, are there any parting thoughts that you guys have? And we'll start with Paul and then go to Carney. Then we'll go to you, Mike. And any parting thoughts here as we're closing up?
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Carl, or you want me to go?
You go.
All right. So, all right. Sorry. Yeah. It's basically what I would say is to tell people to be excited, to really appreciate this moment of history that we're in. Where this is truly an opportunity where people are able to highlight and serve as an example of what Republican values truly stand for. Where you could tell someone that we are the party of individual accountability, so you should know who your mayor is, and you should know who your legislators are, all the way up from the town board trustee level to Congress. Tell someone that we are the state of New York of the United States of America, not simply America. So I'm not going to debate with you on a Senate election occurring in Alabama when both of us are standing in front of a street that's missing a stop sign, and we can find out who the city councilman is. You should tell people that they need to carry themselves as the future leaders of America that they need to do, which means that they have to embrace the difference of opinion. You have to be able to work with people that you do not agree with. One of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King is when he addresses how we need to be able to be sitting, we have to be able to sit at the same table to address issues. That means when you're sitting at the same table, you talk to your members of your family. You're able to present the situation. If I'm unable to talk about the issues that are happening in America or on my college campus with you because it's going to hurt your feelings, then we're not going to be able to get to the resolution of that issue. One of the reasons why I am a supporter of the President of the United States is because he is brutally honest to the point where he does not care about being politically correct. He would tell somebody how he feels, and it doesn't even matter how they retaliate about that. And it's truly unfortunate that we do not appreciate his honesty because it's so needed right now. People are upset about what he said in regards to calling Haiti and the African nations shithole countries. I'm of Haitian descent, and I can tell you that Haiti isn't the premier spot that you tour at during your vacation season.
It's not a garden
place
spot
where people want to go there. And but on the other note, people are upset about that, and all of those in the Haitian community are out there protesting in the city in Florida, but they overlook the fact that when Haiti suffered the earthquake in 2010, they didn't want to, no one raised a finger when the Clinton Foundation embezzled billions of dollars away from the people of Haiti. So people want to get upset over the things that the media tells them about, but they do not have the ability to carry themselves as critical thinkers within the political process to do the research on the things that the media is not telling them about. So I guess that's my parting thought, to do the research into the occult of how politics really works and how you're supposed to represent yourself within a system of governance, and do not delegate the way you're supposed to think politically to, I guess, a left-leaning professor or the media. I'm not going to have Jay-Z and Beyonce and LeBron James tell me who I should vote for as president. I want to be able to pick up the phone and call the office of the campaign and ask questions. Ask them what are their stance on abortion, because I feel abortion is murder. What are their stances on the Second Amendment, because I feel that the Second Amendment is the one thing keeping us from not becoming a police state.
Yeah.
Asking them what are they going to do for me as an individual to help me achieve the American dream. These are the ways that college students need to become willing to do, because college students are the future leaders of America. These are the people that are going to lead industries and carry themselves with love of education.
Absolutely.
With the love of education they achieve.
Yeah, just going to keep it brief because I have a phone call at 5. But I think that us as college Republicans, we really, we're in a unique time, unique opportunity to really show the good values of republicanism and just how the change we could develop in college campuses and and throughout the country. And I think it's very important that we as college Republicans do not remain fearful in any way, and just know that we have each other and support systems, and just know that the more unified we become, the better the party will be. And it's very important, especially I tell it to the clubs that we should reach out to local officials, state senators, congressmen, congresswomen, mayors, everyone, within city council. College Republicans, we should be linked to the local governments directly, because at the end of the day, local governments, they matter way more. They affect their life way more, and also they provide sometimes they provide finances and internships and opportunities. So it's very important that we remain very involved in the process. And I'm sure that 2018, if we do this stuff for 2018, the elections will definitely be in our favor. And that's basically all I have to say right now. And thank you guys for having us on too.
Oh, absolutely. We love it. We love it. That's what the program's for, is to be able to share our thoughts, our experiences, our viewpoints on this, and let people, not only amongst ourselves, but to everyone else who's listening, and let them know you're not alone. You're not the only person of color who has conservative or Republican value. You're not the only student in a university that has a conservative or Republican viewpoint. And, as much as they demonize us, we're not demons. We're regular people. We're right out there in the community, and we're here to improve everything for everyone. So I love having you guys on, and I know Mike does as well.
It was an absolute a privilege to have you guys on, and a closing thought that I had as far as the progressives go, and we've talked about that many, many times over the course of the last few minutes, but as Ronald Reagan said, and I remember because I grew up during his time, is that it's the single most the words that he was always afraid of is "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Or the scariest words in the English language. There we go. I can't speak today.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, that happens to you sometimes. But with that said, we definitely look forward to having you guys back, and we're going to be talking to you more as we go forward. Please comment, share this, let people know so that they can comment to us. We do have a way for them to actually call in and leave comments, questions that we can answer for the show, as well as, what's the Twitter?
SUNY Broome Republicans GOP.
Okay, we have SUNY Broome Republicans GOP as the Twitter account, as well as the Facebook, which is
SUNY Broome Republicans at Facebook.com.
Okay, Facebook. So there's a couple ways for people to get in touch with us. But with that said, I think it's been a very exciting show.
Absolutely.
We're probably going to split it so that there was the comments with the part of the show with me and Mike before you guys came on. We'll have that, and then we'll do this as its own portion. But we think
great talking to you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but just stay on the line. And we'll come right back to you. But for our audience, we thank you for being with us. This is Michael Voss and
Michael Woodward.
And we'll be back with you next week at SUNY Broome Republicans.